see Panthera versus Looking for Org. We're going to see what these two teams have in store for us in this best of 5 game.
And we are going to see Rogue Mage Paladin versus... Thunder. Okay, so Lucy is usually a feral main, but he's going to be bringing us the warrior, and we are going to be seeing another elemental shaman. Now, this is kind of a good read here by LF Org, actually, predicting that they're going to go up against a rogue mage team here, picking the warrior. Warrior is king at shutting down rogue mage right now with things like the intervene. You get the war banner. You just have so much disruption right now. And warriors, they deal a ton of damage as well. Let's see what they do here in the opening stage. They're going to go after Procket on that Alley Shaman to get a sap into a Dragon's Breath Sheep here. Very clean opener so far with the combustion here. And they are going to be able to force out some cooldowns, presumably here. Warwick sitting through everything right now. And Procket, he's not even using his Astral Ship, just using his elemental right there, and that's going to be enough to keep him alive and start turning out the pressure.
That is not what I was expecting. I feel like Fire Mage Combustion opener on an Elemental Shaman all alone is a lot scarier, so that's looking good for LF Org. And look at this counter pressure now, double Blinding Light. They're going after Silly. Vasky recovers with that Divine Favor for now, trying to power through. Mirror Images also providing some damage reduction towards Silly. Smoke Bomb on Procket, big power play attempt here. Borug jumps into the Smoke Bomb, trying to recover, but walks into a polymorph, and now Procket on the back foot. Lucy going to intervene over, intervening a cheap shot and quite a bit of damage. Sap now onto Borug for follow-up, trying to gun down Procket. He drops the grounding totem. Stormbolt on Silly, Lightning Lasso on Maybe, and this is good stalling so far from LF Org.
Yeah, I would say it's not looking too bad. LF Org, they've been able to diffuse all of these situations. The Elemental Shaman, when they're not caught into a kidney shot, really good at shutting down that Fire Mage. You can purge off the combustion, you can ground the combustion, which is super effective. The only thing is, if he is caught into a kidney shot, it is hard to do that. But I think of that opener, he had the defensive bonus from the Rock Elemental, or the Earth Elemental, which did keep him alive, and LF Org has just been stable ever since. It seems like LF Org, they're in the driver's seat for this matchup. They're winning on mana, but here's a big go on a Procket. Let's see what they can get done. They actually do get the Astral Shift, but this was the combustion, and trading for that Astral Shift, that's definitely a fair trade. Looks like Procket will be able to survive. Let's see if they can get more. Nice sap coming in from Maybe. Any more crowd control? No, and that will be enough. Procket survives, and then once again, LF Org, they're going to be charging in, trying to get some damage out, while SC Panthera, they're just going to be looking to reset, try to get a re-stealth, try to reset that combustion, and try to go for that one-shot and crowd control. But LF Org, they need to take advantage of this moment where they don't have that damage and really try to take them down.
Yeah, that was a nice little push there as well by LF Org, forcing out the cloak, forcing out the evasion, and the trinket of Maybe. So Maybe could be a target that can get erased later on. Rogues, very, very squishy right now. You're going to be seeing him kind of doing a lot of hit and runs here on that sub-rogue. As soon as that setup is over, as soon as the stun lock is over, Maybe is going to just be running immediately for the hills. And honestly, I feel like the warrior actually is a better target than the Elish Shaman in this matchup. Lucy, if he gets to play however he wants throughout this goes, he can do a lot of disruption, like we mentioned earlier. You can see right away as well, dishing out the damage here on that rogue, already taking him down to 50%. Here comes the Blade Storm, big damage. Blade Storms to go now. Lucy with the intervene, and that go is going to be completely dismantled here by the warrior once again. And now Procket looking for some procs, looking to proc the egg here maybe on Silly, on that Night Fae Mage. Let's see if he can get it. Looking to shut down that CC chain there onto Vasky as well. And now once again, Maybe just going to retreat behind the pillar. Procket getting sheeped, and the Rogue Mage team is just going to try to reset that combustion. They actually have it available, trying to reset those DRs, Maybe getting the Blessing of Protection. And now once again, looking to set up here with big stunlock combo as soon as Silly can go. And they are going to keep shutting him down a little bit longer here. There's the Blinding Light coming out, and now they're going to go for a big swap onto the Holy Paladin. Combustion gets ripped, but look at Procket. Trinket, Grounding Totem, shutting down the combustion, and Borug is going to be able to save his Divine Shield as a result of that. And I do believe Borg also is running that Battle Master Trinket for a massive heal, which is extremely intelligent against that Rogue Mage team.
That was great defense so far from LF Org, denying the combustion Shadow Blades. That's usually the scariest moment in a game against Rogue Mage, and they just walk it off here. They're trying to go after Procket, maybe a smoke bomb opportunity on the Elemental Shaman, but they need to crowd control the entire team. Mana is not looking good for them. Vasky down at 20% at this point. Lightning Lasso over onto Maybe, counterspelled by Silly. Vasky now in a stun. Really trying to put the pressure on here. Maybe down below half with the feint. Goes for a blind. Kidney shot Big power play. Lucy intervenes. Is it going to be enough to save Borug? He opts to use the Divine Shield at a high margin of health, maybe trying to retreat away. Borug charging on top of him. Do they have a Hammer of Justice? Are they going to try and push for the kill? Borug's lobbing in some damage. Silly getting blasted. Vasky goes for Avenging Wrath. Will he clutch out the heals in time? And that Triune Barrier absorbing a lot of damage onto Silly. Rocket unloading quite a few lava bursts as well, but Vasky looks like he's more than ready with Avenging Wrath up. Just needs to time in some big holy shocks here in the near future. Ring of Frost on Procket gets interrupted. Looking for a polymorph now onto Lucy. They want to go after Borug. No Divine Shield, but he still has the Medallion and Blissing Protections. It's going to be quite a few stun lock combos before they'll be able to take down that Paladin. And while they keep doing that, they're going to be doing it with a Paladin that's at 10% mana. Borug pre-Blessing and Protections this attempt. They fear Silly to dispel or to deny the spell steals from him as well. And Procket is just having a field day out in midfield, lobbing out lava bursts, being left open, and this is looking devastating for SC Panthera.
Yeah, nice alter time. And that's the thing about this composition. The Fire Mage, the Subtlety Rogue, their consistent damage is incredibly low. So they have a lot of burst, but outside of their burst window, their damage is way lower, and that's why you're seeing Vasky having to burn through a lot more mana. The Warrior, the Elemental Shaman, a lot more consistent in their damage, less bursty, and Silly is kind of just falling apart here. I mean, Vasky at this point doesn't have much mana left. Silly trying to go for a polymorph. Can he find it? It looks like he will get denied just over and over and over. Their best shot is to go after Borug, but we'll have to see if I Love Lucy and Procket are going to be able to keep him alive. Maybe right now on the run, still just trying to avoid some damage. Hammer of Justice does get initiated. Silly looking for some crowd control, and they are just going for a big one-shot here on Lucy. Grounding Totem comes in from Procket, saving the day. Now looking for a Hex, and Silly's playing that Relentless, so those Hexes will sit full. That was a combustion, but they bought Vasky a second to go and drink. I like that. They're willing to trade some of their offensive cooldowns, that combustion, to kind of cause LF Orc to panic a little bit, and Vasky just sneaks off, tries to recover some of that mana, and he's put his team back in the game.
Yeah, excellent stuff here so far from LF Org. Picking that Warrior was so intelligent for them, and it's been really doing a lot of lifting here with that intervene, stopping so many goes, stopping another poly now. Silly forced into the ice block there. Vasky has his Avenging Wrath. He gets shattered. Oh, but the Blessing of Protection comes out. The Kara is going to trigger. Procket in a sheep right now. Can't purge that off. And of course, the Shattering Throw was just used on that ice block. Vasky still in crowd control here. Hammer of Justice. They're swapping to Vasky here. Could be the Divine Shield here. War Stomp by Warwick. And that War Stomp is going to secure them the bubble. And now Vasky has a lot of work ahead of him here in terms of healing. They get a sheep onto Borg. Maybe they want to set up onto Borg out of that, but Lucy's free. He gets Dragon's Breath. Going for the Ring of Frost. I don't know if he can get it. The intervene comes out, but I don't think it's actually in range. Borg in a lot of trouble. Doesn't have his shield here, his Divine Shield. He does have his Battle Master. He does have his wings. Gonna survive that stun lock right there, and he should be fine. And now look at Silly. He's in trouble. Maybe he's in trouble. Vasky's in crowd control. LF Org are looking to close out this match here.
I mean, Borug doesn't have a trinket, no Divine Shield. If they can get on Borug with a full stun lock, triple crowd control, they could take him down, but they've got to do it pretty quickly here. They're going to be devastated. Borug knows he's the target. He's running away. Maybe he's chasing him down in stealth, looking to find the target. They need to get Silly on top of Borug, but he's so far away. How is Silly going to get there? Now he's in a Hex. They just need to stall a couple more seconds. Divine Shield comes up in 5. They go for the sap. Are they going to swap back to the Warrior Elemental Shaman? The cheap shot Procket. They want to set up on Borug, but now he's got Divine Shield. He can easily deflect it, and Silly can't even get there. Vasky has to trade sacrifice. Vasky managing to regenerate some mana. They're going for the push over onto Borug. Lucy intervenes it, redirecting a ton of damage, but Borug is still going to Divine Shield. Trades it, doesn't want to gamble it with the combustion, and now Borug charges in at Vasky, looking for Hammer of Justice or maybe a Blinding Light. That could be the game over. Crowd control. Borug finds it. Hammer of Justice. Silly has nothing. He breaks out of the Lightning Lasso, maybe in the Storm Bolt. Do they have the Blinding Light out of the Hammer? Doesn't look like it. They're going to have to push him over with nothing but pure damage. Lucy goes for the big Blade Storm onto Silly. There's really nothing left for him here. They're going to proc the Seed. They have to kill the Wild Seed before Vasky heals it to full. Vasky healing with Avenging Wrath. I don't think they're going to be able to kill the Seed. They do. They managed to chop it down just in time. It's just at the 9-minute mark. LF Org going to be taking game 1.
Wow. What I really like about that game is Borug, he was so willing to just trade out that Divine Shield when he felt like he needed to. But the thing I like the most is the second that he did, he was immediately charging across the map, looking for crowd control, looking for pressure. He's saying, okay, there goes over, now it's our turn. You survive the one shot, and then you just push the pace, and LF Org did a great job in that game, just rotating through the defensives, really pressuring the mana bar of the Paladin, and eventually taking down the Mage.
All right, well done to looking for Org for game number 1 here. Going into the second game, though, do you feel like that strategy that you just outlined then is going to be they're going to be able to pull it off here in game number 2, or are we going to see them sort of adjust what they do heading into this next match?
Well, it's kind of one of the specialties of Warriors. Like, Warrior is a good answer for the Rogue, the Subtlety Rogue, and the Elemental Shaman is a good answer for the Fire Mage. So I think as long as we see this matchup locked in, especially with the Paladin, I feel like the Warrior Elemental Shaman is looking pretty good. I mean, you have to set up pretty much perfect cross crowd control if you want to end up landing a kill. And I think going after the Paladin is a good option, but you have to make sure both the Warrior and the Elemental Shaman are shut down. They can't provide any assistance, but that's really difficult. If all three of them are rotating through their Gladiators Battalion, it pretty much is a guarantee they'll always have an out for a go. So I don't know. SC Panthera, they're going to have to figure something out. If LF Org keeps playing this solid, I feel like they're looking good for this series.
All right, and we're also going to take a look at a replay from that last game, and those final moments for Silly, I believe, is what we are going to see here.
Maybe.
Or not. Oh, there we go. Haha.
Yeah, so at this point, I mean, Silly doesn't have Cauterize, doesn't have Ice Block, doesn't have anything, and that Warrior damage with that Avatar running is going to be very, very nice here. DR stun comes out onto I Love Lucy, but look at that. He is going to scramble that seed or that egg, and that's going to be it right there. Yeah, you can hear even the cat is getting excited about that one. Finally, breakfast is served there for the Warrior. And like I said, kind of at the start there, you got to commend I Love Lucy there. He's been sharpening up his Warrior, and he's bringing it out here against one of the better Rogue Mage teams we've got in the tournament. And that's what Warriors are so good at, just dismantling those Rogue Mage teams. And SC Panthera, they have their Shadow Priest Mage as well, which is a good answer to what LF Org is running. So this is most likely not a matchup we're going to see again from LF Org. I don't think they're going to blind lock that Warrior, or maybe they will and see if the Shadow can force them off of it. But if they do, this could definitely be one of those series that goes, kind of counter comping back and forth there. So picking up that first win, very big for LF Org.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we also did see that Night Fae ability come out at the end there as well. Supatees, go through that mechanic for those that may not have seen that yet in an arena.
Well, anyone that's experienced it can get tilted pretty heavily, I think. When you think you're about to win and you're like, oh, the target died, and then you're like, wait a minute, they're not dead.
What's this blue thing?
So when you're playing Pod Tender, Soulbind, when you would otherwise die, you actually get encased in a seed. The seed can be healed. The seed can have cooldowns used on it to keep it alive. And the seed can also be protected by crowd controls. And we saw that at the end of the game with maybe cheap shotting all the targets, trying to stop damage on the seed, and then Vasky trying to pump heals into the seed to keep it alive. And it's just basically a race. If you can kill the seed before a certain amount of time has elapsed, then the player blooms back alive out of the seed. And if you can't, then the seed dies, and so does the player inside of it. So an interesting little kind of like end game mechanic for Night Fae players only, and only with the Pod Tender Soulbind.
All right, looks like we are going to be going to Tolvaron Arena here for this upcoming game. What are some other Covenant abilities that you think we're going to really be seeing quite a bit here in the rest of this tournament, Zico?
Well, I think it depends a little bit on what you're playing, but I feel like we're going to see, if we see Priests, they're most likely going to be Ventir. And if we see Fire Mages, they're most likely going to be running that Night Fae. Shamans, they tend to go for the Necrolords. So I feel like all the Covenants are actually really good for most situations. I think Kyrian is kind of interesting because Kyrian feels like a jack of all trades. It's like, it's not bad to go Kyrian Mage. It's not bad to go, Kyrian Warrior, but you're giving up Night Fae Mage, you're giving up Ventir Warrior. So it's like, it really depends on the matchup and kind of what you want to get done. But I feel like Kyrian is kind of the one that fits the most playstyles, that kind of works in most situations. And the others are kind of specialized, very tailored for specific matchups. So obviously I just want to see everybody play Night Fae because, Night Fae gang. But yeah.
It's Night Fae.
That's right. The Winter Queen Army unite. And there it is.
Oh, yeah.
You get the Shadow Priest.
There it is. All right, game number 2 here, looking for Org versus SC Panthera.
I think for me, what's interesting is, we have the Covenant icons on the frame too now. on next to their class
Yep.
icon, you can see the Covenant frame. So Warrior Covenant, I feel like is a hot debate at the moment, and Lucy's actually playing Venthyr for Condemn. This is high mobility when you play the Execute, Honor Talent, Death Sentence. So your Execute, and which then becomes Condemn, will charge you to a target. It gives you a ton of mobility, super fun, and it hits really hard. And I think Warriors are adopting it more and more, and Lucy showcasing it in that first game. You're going to see it with the animation where he swings his sword over his head with a giant red animation, and you know he's chopping somebody up here. But Warriors out in the open against Wizard, not going to be nearly as advantageous as we saw with him in that matchup with the Rogue. He will really be tested, and this is an alt for him. So let's see what SC Panthera can get done.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. I think I like this composition a little bit more. I think the Shadow Priest is very, very flexible, especially with that Paladin. You're going to be able to set up big swaps, but at the same time, LF4, I think their composition is very durable. The hexes from the Elemental Shaman are super effective against Sealy. They have no hex dispel, so if he gets wind sheared on a polymorph, he'll certainly be turned into a frog, and he'll just have to sit through that crowd control, and no one can really shut it down. For Rogue right now, trading out his sacrifice, his sad story, just kind of baiting I Love Lucy into the opening, really trying to utilize this map to its fullest potential. Pulveron Arena, kind of famous for being advantageous for these Wizard setups, but so far, pressure is looking good for LF4.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen much Shadow. Look at that damage coming out immediately here onto the Shadow Priest. That's going to be the sacrifice coming out from Vasky. And Borog is going to have a little small mana lead right now. Nice counterspell there on the Lightning Lasso. Sealy now looking for the crowd control swap there. Gets the full poly here onto Borog and Lucy. He is immediately going to leap out of danger. And now Sad Story finally going to have some time here to get that Shadow Priest raw pressure out here. We're going to go for a little bit of dots there. But now once again, Sealy caught up in the Hex. And you can see Procket here looking for that pressure here, looking to get something going on that Shadow Priest. Lucy in a polymorph. Still doing a great job so far, controlling the DPS, controlling the matchup, but still no real cooldowns being forced here. Dragon's Breath going to come out. There's the Sheep. He gets it onto Procket. Borog caught up in a silence here. Big swap now. Sheep onto Borog. Lucy looks like the main target, but right now, this Shatter just doesn't have that punch that we're used to seeing. And now Sad Story once again here on the back foot.
Lucy in battle stance, laying in here. Frost Nova from Silly. He blade storms out of it. Big lightning bolts come in, and that's going to be the Void Shift. Sad Story is just blowing cooldown after cooldown to stay alive throughout the onslaught of LF Org's Elemental Shaman Warrior. It has absolutely been devastating. They've been nothing but on the back foot. They could just get chopped up here as Sad Story dips lower and lower. Vasky goes for the Avenging Wrath, repositioning, trying to power out some heals here. Finally getting some damage over onto Lucy, but Sad Story gets blasted out! Disperse on 1%! Barely staying alive. And I mean, despite this being an alt for Lucy, he's definitely showing some plays, leaping back while Borog is interrupted. Procket laying in, preventing Silly from connecting. Lucy now charging in, knowing that they've basically got this game in the bag. Once that Avenging Wrath fades on Vasky, his healing is going to be significantly lower. They go after Procket a little bit, trying to blast him down, but Borog, he's charging in. They know they've got a checkmate position. Sad Story tries to retreat with the Door of Shadows. They Frost Nova Borog. They use Freedom on Procket. Big connect onto Silly. Borog moves in. Blinding Light onto Vasky. No Gladiator's Medallion. Sad Story, no fade. Lava Bursts are flying. Sad Story down to half, but Lucy's on the run. He doesn't want to get stunned and have this reversed on him. Lucy's actually very low on health. He's not able to push for the kill, and the counter pressure is actually keeping Lucy at bay. Big hit in a counter assault from Silly, and Sad Story managing to stay alive and develop pressure at the same time, but Hammer of Justice in, War Stomp down. Sad Story's fade comes up in 1 more second if he needs it. Down at half, big Lava Burst. They don't want to risk dying to the Stormkeeper. Big lightning bolts come in, but Sad Story appears to be stable here. Full fear onto Vasky. Still trying to power down Sad Story. Lucy charging forward, snared up. Meteor getting dropped. Die by the Sword trades for the Meteor. Lucy pushes in for the kill. Sad Story immediately responds with a fade. Borog now into Hammer of Justice. Lucy immediately trades Die by the Sword. This may not have been necessary, but now that he does not have that defensive cooldown, he will be a liability for the team. And despite SC Panthera kind of falling apart initially, things are sort of coming together for them.
Yeah, it's not looking too bad. They're getting the cooldowns that they need, but still Sad Story on the back foot. He's overstayed his welcome. Now Lucy able to really chop him up. Vasky forced to use that sacrifice in order to redirect the damage to himself and keep Sad Story alive. About 30 seconds away from dampening. Power Infusion comes in from Sad Story. They're looking to get aggressive. Who are they going after in this matchup? I Love Lucy immediately just out of line of sight. As soon as Barug is put into a polymorph, he knows he is the main target in this match. He's just going to run and hide. And now that the crowd control has subsided, maybe, I mean, they're actually swapping onto Barug, but he gets the Dispel, able to sneak away with that and will be able to survive. And now Procket looking for a huge lava burst, gets shut down there by Silly. Great job. This is a combustion from Silly as well. But it looks like it will be Sad Story on the back foot. He does have the dispersion, so the appropriate defensive cooldowns if he does need it. But LF Org still looking good, and I like these heads-up plays from I Love Lucy, just immediately running when Barug is put into crowd control. But during this setup, it looks like they just want to continue the pressure. And this is good news. I mean, they get the crowd control onto Barug, but LF Org still just keeping up the assault onto Sad Story and really didn't have to use much in terms of the defensive cooldowns.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the mana right now, it's not looking too good here for ST Panthera. If LF4 can just keep up the momentum here, keep getting that pressure onto Sad Story, Vasky's going to have to burn through his mana a little bit quicker than Borug. And I think for LF Org, though, when Dampening starts ramping up a little bit for them as well, those CC chains are all of a sudden going to be a lot more deadly. They already had a close call on I Love Lucy with one of those long chains. And I think if they can keep that up, that's going to be their ticket to victory. And as I say that, look at that. I Love Lucy having to use his Die by the Sword right there, but Die by the Sword is a shorter cooldown in Shadowlands. It's about 1 minute and 20 or so, depending on your conduit, but not really the 3-minute cooldown that we're used to seeing here. So you're going to see that Die by the Sword going to be available much quicker than what we're used to. Sad Story taking a huge hit here in that Stormball. Here's the Blade Storm as well, taking massive damage here. Proccing lots and lots of Lava Burst. Sad Story dropping to about 10%. Silly trying to keep him alive. Vasky finally going to be trading out the sacrifice there. And Silly now taking a lot of damage. There's a Sky Fury down. Lucy looking to tab target to the mage here. Nice Hex coming out from Procket. They're going to keep the pressure going. And you gotta say, Procket this game, leaving this man free, has been devastating so far. You can see Silly finally trying to shut him down with that Dragon's Breath polymorph. They're looking for the CC chain, but Borog very quick with the Dispel into the double blind here. Sad Story in a lot of trouble. Do they have anything to follow up here onto Vasky? Doesn't look like it, but still good pressure so far coming out from LF Org. And Vasky down to about 20% mana. Not too much time left in this game for him.
I'm not sure how they're going to manage to pull this one off. Borug tries to get to his Shaman to help him with crowd control. Line of sighting the polymorph. The Dragon's Breath whiffs by Silly. Goes for a Frost Nova, but now he gets hexed up. Lava Burst flying in. Sky Fury Totem down. Stormkeeper is channeled. Procket is looking to lock it. Huge Lava Burst Lightning Bolt combo. Looks like they're ready for it, though. Lava Burst after Lava Burst. Procket not winning the Lava Burst lottery there on that exchange. Sad Story's going to be stable. They use Lightning Lasso on Silly to deny some damage here. Lucy trades, though, respecting the cooldowns and crowd control at that moment in time, but he does leave himself exposed to combustion. Procket needs to be ready for this. He doesn't have grounding totem. He's going to have a hard time stalling it. Vasky could likely drink. Borog's trying to charge in to stop it. Borog trying to get aggressive with crowd control. Procket lobbing in, looking for hexes as well at the same time. Silly looks for polymorphs, still gunning down for Sad Story. It's a dog pile on top of each other between both these teams in game number 2. Vasky stunned up, Silly stunned up. They're swapping over to Silly, trying to catch him off guard, but with that Triune Ward, big absorb shield, going to absorb all of that swap. Sad Story in a good position. Vasky not in a great spot. They could swap to Vasky. He's actually in line of sight, but here comes the combustion. Procket trades Astral Shift, drops the grounding totem. Perfect exchange from Procket. He needs to try and purge off combustion, but is getting unlucky. He's not going to find the purges. Now they're gunning for Sad Story. Blind onto Vasky. Sad Story disperses immediately on that crowd control. Respecting that Sky Fury totem from Procket is a good trade. Now polymorphing I Love Lucy, trying to get control of the fight, but there's so much disruption from the Warrior and the Elemental Shaman, specifically LF Org, playing this masterfully.
I really like it. I think this target swap onto Procket is really, really important. I Love Lucy a lot more mobile in the match, but Vasky getting swapped to right now might just get dropped. Big damage coming in for Procket and I Love Lucy. Vasky looking like he will be able to stabilize, but I think swapping over onto Procket, getting the crowd control onto Barug, this is paying dividends right now. Procket might get dropped. He's spamming in the healing waves, and it looks like he will be able to survive. Commanding shout coming in from I Love Lucy to boost his health. Sad Story now getting bursted down. Sacrifice trades as well as the trinket from Vasky. So very back and forth here at 25% dampening, but Procket has to be careful with the way he's positioned. He's just in the open. He is very susceptible to these burst windows from the Shadow Priest Mage, and I think from this point forward, he's going to have to play it a little bit more defensive in terms of his positioning.
Yeah, and Borug, no trinket, no bubble for this sheep right now. This could be big pressure coming out now. You can see Procket already very defensively positioned. Gonna stop the resheep there with the wind shear. Get the hex there onto the mage as well. Sad story, looking to be the target here. And that is a massive hit right there from Procket with that big Earth Shock, and Lucy as well with that avatar rolling. Big pressure from both sides here. Vasky sitting down for a drink behind the pillar. Sad story, and taking a little bit of damage. Lucy actually choosing to overextend. They're trying to reflect the Hammer of Justice, potentially realizing he's not going to able to get that, so he has to stay in line of sight. Obviously, healer, he's forced to move back here, and Silly now going to be the best target here for this team. Combustion comes out. Big CC chain. There's the Meteor Connect, and there's the full fear. But Silly forced into the ice block there by Procket. Borg's going to come out of that CC chain as well with the wings, and he's going to keep Lucy alive. That was Lucy's final cooldowns, though. That was the rallying cry as well as that die by the sword, so he's not going to have any damage reduction. And Silly kind of left field here out on his lonesome, getting dropped to about 50%. Sad story also taking a lot of damage, forced into the dispersion. Silly, no ice block, only really has that Night Face Seed and that Cauterize left to work with. Sad story as well, only has that Void Shift to work with, so both teams, could easily close out this match, but Lucy could be in a world of trouble here. They get the CC chain. Borug has the sacrifice in about 2 more seconds, and I think he's going to be able to keep Lucy alive for a little bit longer. And now it's SC Panthera looking to close this one out, looking to run and try to reset here, because LF Org are looking to close this one out.
And Sad Story activating that double power infusion, but Procket purchases off Hex onto the mage. No support. Sacrifice comes in from the backline. Vasky playing this expertly to deal with this continuous onslaught of damage from LF Org, dragging this fight on as long as possible. They could swap to Vasky if he's not careful. That sacrifice dot is massive on him. His health is just getting torn to pieces from it, and Procket is relentless. Sad Story has to fade. He immunes the incoming lightning bolt, tries to retreat. Silly tries to chase down Borug. He's going after him on a solo mission, but now he's getting swapped to in midfield. They're going to all get pinned at the pillar in the immediate future, now almost at 40% dampening. Vasky looks like he wants to try and sit down for a drink, try and regenerate some mana, but he doesn't have cooldowns if he falls behind. Triple fear from Lucy. Silly stunned up. Oh, but the blink on the Warbreaker, it doesn't even matter. Earthshock cracks through. Silly's Cauterize triggers. They're pushing for the Wild Seed. Vasky gets stunned on his big heal, gets purged off. Silly's on the ropes here. Void Shift over to Sad Story, but Sad Story doesn't have Disperse for 2 more seconds. 1 more second on the Disperse. Likely just hovering over that keybind here. At 10% dispersion trades. Lucy is tearing in, but they stalled the Wild Seed. Borug and a Polymorph. Lucy's just going to trade die by the sword. Intervene in incoming Polymorph with that Overwatch honor talent. Get right back onto the Shadow Priest. Sad Story fades the Stormbolt, immuning the stun, doing whatever he can to try and turn this around, but there's just too much damage and too much control. LF Org look unstoppable in game 2.
All right, already up 2-0, looking for Org. Pretty solid start to their season here. That Shadow Priest just didn't work out for them. Real quick though, Subtees, I have a question for you.
You have a question for me?
Yeah, I have a question for you. Why didn't you wear a turtleneck with the rest of us?
I didn't get the memo.
Just like, you didn't get the.
Okay,
we told you about this. We were all gonna match for today.
I personally don't own a turtleneck, so I need to buy one. I'll just.
Is that
wait,
it?
are you wearing one too?
Yeah, I'm wearing a black turtleneck.
Why did?
All right, okay, you don't have to go along with it. It's okay. No, we did not plan it. For those of you like, why are they all wearing turtlenecks? This was completely on accident. The Steve Jobs cosplay was not intentional, but hey, I think we all look pretty good here for Cup number 1. But speaking of looking good, looking for Org, looking super solid here. We saw SC Panthera bring out that Shadow Priest. We didn't really see them, that class in particular, that spec, have much of a place in the meta too much in BFA. How do we feel like that choice worked out for SC Panthera, Venrique? I mean, I know they lost, but is that going to be a solid spec choice?
I think Shadow Priest is really strong right now. I expect to see quite a bit of it this weekend, but I think this is just one of those matchups where the Thunder is really durable overall. You have the Warrior, you have the Elemental Shaman, and the Paladin, just so many cooldowns you can rotate through, and your consistent damage is through the roof. The Elemental Shaman and the Warrior, especially the Venthyr Warrior with that Condemn, able to put out a lot of pressure, kind of swap targets throughout the match. Really, really disruptive, so they'll end up winning on mana, and as long as they don't kind of throw during those moments of huge burst potential, from the side of SC Panthera. I feel like LF Org in this particular matchup is looking really good. And as a mage, when you play against an elemental shaman who's on point with his groundings, his wind shear, and his hex, you really feel like you're being shut down a lot in the matchup. So what I liked in that matchup that they started doing is going after the elemental shaman, using the psychic horror, using the silence to just deny him from using the grounding, using the shear, using anything. You get the crowd control on the paladin, cross crowd control on the warrior, and if they can set that up consistently, then I think they have a win potential. But it just seems like if LF Org is on their game, they're doing a good job with their rotations. They're looking really good for this one.
All right, well, we'll see if they can pull that off for game number 3 here. LF Org on match point. We're going to take a look at a replay from that last game.
So I really like what Lucy does here. As soon as the sheep connects onto Borg, he just immediately trades Die by the Sword. He knows it's high dampening. He knows both healers are low on mana. He gets the dispersion right here. And now you're going to see Borg gets caught up in the sheep. There it is. Instantly goes back, intervenes his healer with that Overwatch talent, I presume. And then he gets right back into the fray. Nice fade there on the Stormbolt by Sad Story. But at this point, Vasky caught up in a beautiful blinding light. Big damage there by Procket, by I Love Lucy as well. And that's the thing, in dampening, you just got to trade those defensives preemptively when you're high on HP, get the full value and just get in there and kind of use them to actually finish the game, because just with healing alone, your healer is just not going to be able to keep up.
Ooh, look where it is. Look where we're going.
Yeah, we are going to be going to the new Shadowlands map, Empyrean Domain. Subatis, talk to me about this map.
So
You seem excited.
To me, I like this map a lot. This is actually probably my new favorite map. It's a combination in my mind of like Nagrand and Tolvaron at the same time. It's a really big map, but the pillars are smaller like Nagrand. And you've got these big open areas on both starting areas that you can pull back into and kind of bait people and then just kind of blow them up when they get baited out in the open. And then you can also go for more standard play in the middle. So it's like a nice balance of being a Nagrand type of map, which I think most competitive players would prefer, just this kind of standard map, but with a little bit of kind of flexibility to expand for different strategies.
My favorite part of that map is when you're in the entrance and
the fly down.
Blue people just sort of manhandle you and
I like
yeet
staying
you
up
onto
there.
the floor.
You can just stay up there, and then if the other team has a mage and they press invis too fast, you just stay up there and wait. You get like a couple extra seconds.
Oh, all right.
I've never done that before. That sounds a little suspicious, but
Yeah.
You eventually get kicked down. The Bastion, the Kyrians don't like you up there. You eventually get kicked down, but it gives you like a couple of seconds. You can stay up here if you want to. You don't have to, but I don't think we'll see them stay up. They're likely just going to both charge in. The first time on tournament stream, the Angel fly-in. I believe I can fly.
beautiful. I like that. So this matchup, once again, SC Panthera, they need to push the pace. They need to get the crowd control. They need to get the all-out one-shot. Their consistent damage is no match for LF Org. If they don't get these beautiful cross-crowd controls, they are not going to win this match. Double Ring of Frost. This is exactly what you want to see. I Love Lucy on the run. This is beautiful crowd control. What a great start for SC Panthera. They immediately get the Die by the Sword. They didn't manage to get any trinkets, but the pressure is still immense. Dragon's Breath comes in, but it looks like I Love Lucy will be able to hold on. And just trading out the Die by the Sword for that type of setup, I think is actually a minor victory here for LF Org, surprisingly.
Whoa! Big damage comes in.
That was an insane hit right now. Sad Story on the back foot once again here. Needs to be very careful. Look at Procket proccing Lava Burst while he's in a sheep right there. Almost taking him down. Big Bladestone coming out here as well. Big damage. But now Lucy on the back foot. Borg needs to be careful. He's in a sheep right now. Might need to trade something. There it is. Trinket Sacrifice coming out from Borg. And Lucy immediately charges right back into combat. Borg now getting swapped to here. This is exactly what they want to be doing here with that God composition. They get the Hammer of Justice. They get the silence. Borg though, quick with that Battle Master Trigger to keep himself alive. Storm Sad Story. He's gonna use everything. This person, maybe even going down through it. The Condemn is just too strong right now. I Love Lucy. He is definitely putting out the pressure there. Sad Story having to use so many buttons right there, and he's still not out of the woods yet. He's running all the way to the opposite side of the map here, trying to buy himself some distance, and there it is. Full sheep gonna connect. Lucy trinketing the Psychic Horror there from Sad Story. And now once again, Border could be a potential swap target here at the end of the CC chain. Let's see if they go for it. Vasky looking for the Hammer of Justice. Another Blessing of Protection trades out there to Sad Story as he just gets globalized once again.
I mean, they're going to trade something big here in the near future if Lucy stays connected. They're trying to kite on the outskirts of the map, but they need to be setting up goes on the Paladin. I feel like he's really the only kill target if the Warrior and Shaman play well, and they're trying to go after Procket, but he's getting intercepted, denied by pummels. They're not going to find any damage. Perfect defense. Hex on Silly. Lucy leaps in. Big Warbreaker battle stance. Lucy is ready to close this out if Sad Story isn't ready. Big Lava Burst off to the side. Vasky trades. Sacrifice. Redirecting damage to himself, but Borog's on top of Vasky. Procket could swap to Vasky and get a Divine Shield. Vasky line of sighting Procket at the pillar. Lucy pulling back. They're making the Paladin swap. Is Vasky ready for it? Big hit comes in. It looks like he is. Not panicking. Solid defense. Not choking here on match point. Vasky playing excellently despite the onslaught. But these hexes on Silly have been devastating, having to sit through every single one. No decurse available on their team. And Sad Story is getting chopped. Lucy charges in, going into battle stance. Lava Burst gets casted here. Sad Story trying to jump away to safety. Silly swapping over to Bowrug. Nice swap onto Bowrug. Divine Shield gets netted here. And finally, SC Panthera are showing life in this game.
Yeah, Silly doing a great job landing these consistent Ring of Frost onto Procket, and it was even I Love Lucy managed to get the Blade Storm out of it, but it wasn't enough to keep Baruch from using that Divine Shield. So nicely done here by SC Panthera. They are getting through those cooldowns. Baruch is the only one that has a trinket available in this situation. If they can get crowd control on Procket, get crowd control on Lucy, and do a go here in the next couple seconds, I mean, at this point, Lucy does have that cooldown rotating back up. And it's going to be SC Panthera on the back foot just a little bit. If we look at mana, big lead here for LF Org. Still about a minute away from dampening at this point of the game. I Love Lucy leaps in, or actually leaps away, just trying to line of sight a little bit right now, as it looks like SC Panthera is trying to set up some sort of crowd control, but big damage on Sad Story once again. It is going to be the Blessing of Protection that does keep him alive, but the Blinding Light, Sad Story still just on the run, but I Love Lucy, unfortunately, not able to reconnect, and it looks like SC Panthera stay alive.
Yeah, and Sad Story, he needs to make sure that he does exactly what he did when they got that pressure. Run to the opposite side of the map. But right now, he's getting decimated right now. Procket looking to potentially force... he gets the Void Shift right there. And honestly, I don't blame Sad Story at all. We've seen some insane damage from these LA Shamans with that Stormkeeper loaded up. So he's going to play it safe and trade out that 5-minute cooldown. And here we go. Big setup here onto Procket. They do get the Hammer of Justice there, forcing out the Grounding Totem. But Procket getting counterspell, going to trade out the Astral Shift here as well. With Borog in that crowd control, Silly using his combustion right there, but finally getting hexed on and getting shut down. Sad Story now once again going to be in big trouble. He takes a massive hit right there once again, but a beautiful sacrifice coming out from Vasky, taking no risks right there. You can tell both of these teams are just using their cooldowns immediately because both sides have so much burst damage that they can just launch at any point. But I want to see Sad Story cross the map all the way to the opposite side, allow Silly to get a sheep there onto Borog, set up a CC chain on one of the DPS, and then swap to Borog at the end of it. That's exactly what they need to be doing.
Dispersion trades for Stormkeeper. Once again, just anytime Procket's doing damage, you got to activate a defensive cooldown. He is absolutely devastating this team at the moment. Trinket grounding, intervene, reflect on the poly from Overwatch. Their defense is perfect. They can't get anything going. Finally finding a polymorph. They need to find this moment here to net a kill onto Procket. Is Borog ready for it? Pummel on Silly. Silly goes for Dragon's Breath. Ring of Frost gets lightning lassoed. Psychic Scream from Sad Story to follow up. No Tremor Totem found there. Doesn't look like it's necessary. Procket looks for defensive hex, but Warbreaker gonna break that. Double Warbreaker. Big damage coming in from Lucy on that Venthyr Warrior. Just absolutely chopping Sad Story. Fading at 20%, trying to kite away, drag Lucy out in the open, but Lucy doesn't seem to care. He is just going to be going at Sad Story, start to finish. Procket going on a one-on-one with Silly. You're not gonna win with that without combustion. Blinking back over to Sad Story. Night Fade blinking back to the pillar. Lucy swaps over to Silly to try and break up the crowd control here. Will he be able to stop all of it? Soaking the Meteor hit as well onto Procket. Good defense from Lucy once again. And Vasky, your mana's tapped. They pop combustion. They're just trying to go for a YOLO kill or something here, but Procket immediately trades. Sad Story's in trouble. This is it. It's match point. Sad Story is going to get taken down. LF Org with solid offense, solid defense, and showcasing that Venthyr Warrior excellently in this series.
All right, looking for Org able to shut that last series down 3-0, and what a strong start to the team for that, for those guys, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, no question about it. They brought in a composition that's really disruptive to the Paladin. Fire Mage, the Shadow Priest, the Rogue just weren't great options for what they had available. And I think just that consistent denial of those one-shots it was good to see. And okay. I guess I missed out on the memo this time.
Wait, did we miss the memo?
The map's
so.
really bright, so we're just protecting our eyes here. I think it's safe to take them off though, Sid.